Today we're going to be looking at how to divide decimals. I'm going to go over my steps first, and then we're going to jump right into our problem. So step number one is the divisor can't be a decimal. If my divisor is a decimal, I actually have to do something to that number so it becomes a whole number. Number two, rewrite and bring decimal straight up. Number three, solve like normal long division. If you don't know how to do long division, I have a previous video on my YouTube channel, and just search up long division and watch that video. Finally, my last rule is in red. If I want a precise number and I have a remainder, I don't need to leave it as a remainder. I can actually keep going with a decimal. I'm going to show you how to do that today. But we're going to be adding zeros to the dividend. I only go up to the hundredths because in elementary school or even sometimes in middle school, you guys actually won't go past the hundredths place. Our number today is 67 hundredths divided by 3 hundredths. I also labeled what each number was. My dividend comes first in a left to right long division problem, while my divisor comes second. When I want to rewrite this to set up my long division, my divisor actually comes first. So I'm going to put 3 hundredths, and I'm going to put 67 hundredths inside. My first one is I can't have my divisor be a decimal. If I can't have this be a decimal, I'm actually going to move this to make it a whole number. If I move my decimal 2 times to make it a whole number, what I do to one side I must also do to the other. This keeps my equation and my expression balanced. So I'm going to move this twice as well. 1, 2. That means my decimal is going to go after the 6 now. I like to rewrite it. I keep it in my steps so this doesn't get all sloppy. So I'm going to go ahead and rewrite it underneath where I now have 3. And I'm going to be dividing by 67. And again, I'm going to keep my decimal in there because what if I don't want a remainder? What if I want a hard decimal number? My second piece also says bring decimal straight up. So I'm going to take my decimal and I'm going to bring it directly above. That way when I get my solution, my decimal is already placed. Step 3, I'm now going to solve like it would be a normal long division problem. 3 goes into 6 2 times. So I subtract 3 times 2 is 6. So I subtract that 6 away and I get 0 left over. I then bring down my next number, which is a 7. 3 goes into 7 2 times, and 3 times 2 is 6. I subtract that out, and I have 1 left over. Here's my possible solutions. Or possible quotients. My first one, if I didn't want to find a decimal, I could actually stop there, where I have an answer of 22 and have a remainder of 1. Now if I wanted to get a fraction, it's very, very similar. I would still have 22 as my whole number. My fraction, my numerator comes from my remainder. I was left with 1 left over. Finally, I was dividing by 3, so that becomes my denominator. But if I want a decimal, I need to figure out what's going to go on after that decimal. So let's go ahead and keep going. This brings us to that red rule right here. I'm going to add zeros to the dividend. When I add a 0 here, it's after the decimal, so it's not changing the value. This is like saying I had $67.00. Well, that's still $67, so it doesn't change the value. I'm going to bring the 0 down, and I think to myself, 3 goes into 10 how many times? Well, it goes in 3 times, because 3 times 3 is going to give me 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. I still have a remainder, so I'm going to go ahead and add another 0 in there. I drop my 0 down, and I get 10 again. 3 goes into 10 3 times, which was a 9, and I have 1 left over. I'm going to go ahead and stop there because this is my hundredths place. If you also notice, I had a remainder of 1 3 times now. That means no matter how long I put zeros on here, I'm always going to get a remainder of 1. So I show that with a line above my last number. That's saying that 22 and 33 hundredths will repeat forever. So this is going to be 22 and 33 hundredths. That would be how you divide with decimals.